السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Biology to grade 10 part 2 in our lesson 6 linked, 6 influenced and 6 limited trait and the medical examination before marriage. Today we will concern with 6 influenced and 6 limited trait, and we start with 6 linked trait in last session. Okay, before we start, keep in your mind this point. Number 1, trait to be appeared in offspring, it need pair of allele, 2 allele, one from this allele from paternal gamete and the other one from maternal gamete. Number 2, the offspring carry 2N, where the gamete carry N, number of chromosome. And in gamete, there is no trait will be appeared. The gamete only transfer the allele or the copy of gene to the offspring. Okay? Number or point 3, the trait represented by 2 terms. Number 1, phenotype. Number 2, genotype. The term type, it means model. Genotype, it means the model of gene which represent in pair of allele, like A capital, A small, whatever the alphabet letter symbol, and whatever it's capital or small according to the action between them. Phenotype, it's the type of trait or the model of trait, or it's the alternative character or alternative trait, which may be red or white. It means the appearance trait in the offspring. Okay. Number 4, the offspring may be male with X and Y, 6 chromosome, or female with X and X. The last one, 5, both X and Y carry somatic gene and 6 gene, or somatic trait and 6 trait. So we can say that this 5 point again, trait must appear in pair of allele. The offspring carry 2N where gamete carry N. The trait represented by 2 concepts, genotype like A capital or A small, whatever, and phenotype which is alternative characters that appeared. Point 4, we have 6 individual or 6 type, female and male, female with X and X, male with X and Y. Also, you can say also both of male and female carry somatic chromosome plus the pair of chromosome. The last point, X and Y, both of them are carry 6 gene and somatic gene. Okay, now we start our lesson, the trait from the type of 6 influenza trait. This type of trait is somatic and carried on somatic chromosome. Somatic chromosome or autosome. Okay, but it affected by 6 gene which carried on 6 chromosome. We have to type X chromosome or Y chromosome. Okay, Okay, we repeat it again. Trait from the type of sex influencer trait are somatic trait that controlled we will say it before. The trait must need pair of allele, so it controlled by pair of allele, and this trait it will be carried on somatic or autosomal chromosome. We have in human being from 1 to 22 autosome. Okay, and affected by 6 genes that carried on X and Y chromosome. Okay, we have male and female. Both of them carry 22 autosome. But they differ in X, Y or XX. Okay, the gamete that formed by them, it has 22 مش pair 22 autosome single in here and in here. Okay, we after formation of any gamete it will be combined with each other forming offspring. Okay, this type of trait, sex influencer trait, affected by the genes that present in Y chromosome. How? The Y carry 6 genes. This gene give or produce 6 hormone. By the way, it's known as masculinity hormone. If this hormone is present and this trait or the pair of allele present, it will give the appearance trait. I repeat it again. This type of trait is somatic trait and carried on somatic chromosome. It represented by pair of allele and it's affected by the 6 genes that carried on Y. If the Y chromosome is present and this Y already carries 6 genes which produce 6 hormone known as masculinity hormone. If the cell contains 6 hormone and contain the pair of allele, it will be appeared for this trait اللي هي sex influencer trait. Okay? Okay. So it may be present in male or female, but in female case we have X and X. There is no Y. So the allele, if it is present, it hasn't Y chromosome action, so it will not appear. But in the male we have Y, so we have the hormone that affect on this trait, so this trait will be appeared. So we can say that the genotype, the genotype of this allele, which represents by pair of allele, the genotype of 6 influencer trait represented by 2 phenotypes. one from phenotype related to male and the other one related to female according to the presence of Y chromosome. Okay, I will explain in this example. If you note the balded head present in male, not in female, this is a type of 6 influence trait, and this influence trait of the balded head, it represents by somatic trait, somatic which carried on somatic chromosome and affected by Y. So in male we have phenotype differ from the female phenotype. Okay, this type of trait, it dominant over recessive, and it has symbol B positive which dominate over B. So if you read this example, when a hybrid balded head man, it means carry positive B and B as a genotype, or the pair of allele B positive B. This man married a hybrid woman. Hybrid woman also carry B positive and B without any charge. In this case, we haven't see any balded head female in our environment or in our world. Okay, because it has not carry Y chromosome. This trait affected by 6 gene carried on Y chromosome. Okay, now the parents present with genotype like you see in figure, which by meiosis division give gamete carry n number of chromosome, have number of the parents or haploid number B positive or B in gamete of female, and the gamete of male is B positive B also. The first generation will be preformed or produced by 2n number of chromosome by meeting both gamete of female with gamete of male. And we have 3 type of genotype. The first one is positive B positive B positive, and the second one is B positive B. The last one is B and B. This is 3 type of genotype. But the allele that present is affected by Y or by the hormones that produced as a result of presence of 6 gene, which known as masculinity hormone. So for the first genotype B positive B positive, the male will be bald because carry pure allele with B positive B positive. But the female has no Y, chromosome Y not present. So it affected by presence of pure allele in dominant case, but without presence of Y. So the bald head not appeared in female, but appear as hair falling, because it carry dominant allele and the pure dominant allele. For the second genotype, B positive B, the male with Y suffer from balded head because the B positive dominate over B, that in recessive form or is recessive allele. But in female, no balded head and no presence of Y, so it will be normal hair. For the last genotype, BB, in recessive form, pure recessive form, the male has no the gene or the copy of the gene, so it will be normal, and the female it also be normal. So we have 3 genotype, number 1, number 2, number 3, but we have 6 phenotype, 1 from 2 male and the other from female. Okay, we will compare between sex-linked trait and sex-influenced trait with the revision on sex-linked trait. You can remember the location of this trait is present on X chromosome, but the influenced trait carried on autosome or somatic chromosome from 1 to 22 in karyotype. This sex-linked trait not affected by sex hormone. It also not affected by presence of testosterone or masculinity hormone. Testosterone is a male hormone. Okay, but the sex-influenced trait, it affected by Y chromosome, which give sex hormone. The appearance of the influenza trait affected by Y, by the way, which give sex hormone. Sex-linked trait apply to complete of dominant. Allele dominate over another allele. Okay? But in sex-influenza trait, it's complete of dominant in male. But in female, it must be present in pure B positive. B positive to be appeared, because in female there is no Y chromosome. Okay? The hybrid case in sex-linked trait present in female, because only female carry X and X. And this type of trait linked carried on X chromosome. The hybrid individual in influenza trait, it between male and also female, whatever the trait which affected by Y chromosome. Okay, the passing of gene in sex-linked trait, father give only daughter, father pass the trait to only daughter, but his son not affected by the allele that present in male. El father has X and Y, where X carry the allele, so it will transfer to his daughter, and by the way to grandson from his daughter. And in sex-linked trait, the female pass the trait or pass the gene to both male and the female offspring, or to all the individual in offspring. In الفيميل عندها X and X, and both offspring take the X from its maternal gamete. So النتريت أو الcopy of gene from the female transfer to both male and the female offspring. But in the case of sex influenza trait, both parents pass the gene to both sex, but affected by Y. Affected by Y. I will repeat it too much. The example in sex-linked trait, eye color in Drosophila and represented by capital allele or dominant. But in human, a sex-linked trait in human or in man present in recessive form. يعني الإكس carry recessive form are small مثلا, or X and Y are small. We have 4 examples in sex-linked trait in human. We have 4 examples. First one, color blindness, or mean the patient haven't the ability to differentiate between red and green color. And the hemophilia, which is the patient haven't the ability to stop the bleeding or form blood clotting. The patient haven't the ability to prevent the bleeding in hemophilia. Also, we have another example. First one, short-sightedness. Short-sightedness, it means I can differentiate the object till it will be closest to my eye. The last example, and it's a very important point to describe it, which mean atrophy. Atrophy, it means I have muscle, but I can control this voluntary muscle. Or by another way, atrophy, the patient in atrophy case haven't the ability to control on the voluntary muscle. Voluntary muscle like our hand muscle or our leg muscle. This patient haven't the ability to control the motion of them. This type of sex-linked trait or atrophy sex-linked trait, it's a type of sex-linked carried on X chromosome, present in recessive form, and it's type of lethal recessive trait. Lethal recessive linked trait. The patient reach to 12 years and then it will be die in atrophy case. Okay? The example of sex influence trait is baldness in human, which is present in dominant case, and horn or corn of cattle, which also present in dominant case. Okay, take H positive as a sample, and the recessive one is H without charge. Okay, now we talk about sex limited trait, the last point in our session today. Trait from somatic type and also carried on somatic chromosome or autosome, but it's limited or exclusive to the sex. It means sex has this trait and another sex hasn't not have. So sex limited trait, it's a type of somatic trait, appears in one of two sexes only. This is due to presence of hormone but not affected by sex hormone. Its presence according to the difference in concentration of hormone. We have sex hormone in female. We have progesterone and estrogen. and a little bit of testosterone. Also, the male has testosterone and a little bit of progesterone. Estrogen. Okay. Sex-limited genes are responsible for the appearance of certain traits. We have example like milk production in mammal. The female has the ability to lactation, but the male is not. So it's exclusive to male, exclusive to female. Also, presence of beard in man, it present in male, not in female. The last example is ability of bird to lay on egg. It present in female, not in male. Thank you very much. واشوفكم ان شاء الله السيشن اللي جايه، وان شاء الله هتكون عن الاكزامينيشن of medical examination before marriage and some science technology.